guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
We are very groovy, and this is part 2 of our double header tonight. If you missed the first one about werewolves, please go back and check it out. You can check it out on our YouTube station at Cosmos Creative TV. And now we're going into zombies in this spooktacular time of year in October, going up to Halloween. Zombies are one of my favorite monsters. I don't know why I love them. The undead, to me, they seem so cute. You know, they're kind of growling. They seem kind of bestial. I think of kind of a big cat or a little dog. I just think they're adorable. I'm really into zombies. So the guys are going to rank and discuss their favorite zombie films tonight and the ways that zombies have shaped Hollywood, cinema, and our culture. So to start us off, we have Manny Zamora, who is not undead. He is very, very alive. And Rory, the man of a billion voices, Penland. Hello, guys. Well, it looks like we might have a condition. I think we need. I think we need to. I think we need to get you back to the graveyard stat. You look. You've looked better. You've looked better. I think. I think Manny might not be the undead, but I think we got a dead man walking here. Yeah, might want to get that checked out.
Troy Moore's watching.
Yes, Troy Moore is watching, or he was watching. He was watching.
We scared him away. These are zombie teeth, but they're also called mesh teeth.
Mesh teeth.
So meth, M-E-T-H.
Meth.
So, zombies doing meth. That's a movie right there. Meth zombies.
We need to get work on that. Crackhead zombies.
That's face right there.
Coming to a drive-in near you.
Let me tell you a story. This is a good story. This is a good way to start this. I had a friend here in Central Florida, an acquaintance, who made a movie called, they ended up calling it Zombies, Zombies, Zombies. That's the name of it. Infamous movie. Now, the premise of this movie is there is some crack that goes out on the street. It's causing crack whores to turn into zombies, and they're biting people and turning them into other zombies. So the film should have been called Crack Whore Zombies. But when they took it to the distributor's like, oh, no, we don't want a crack whore zombie. I mean, it's going to be like a trauma film, you know? And again, it plays like a trauma film. But the distributor, like an idiot, and again, this is so Hollywood, you know, and it wasn't even Hollywood, it was Florida, made them change the title to Zombies. What is it, a freaking musical? Come on! They're zombies, they're whores, they're crack whores. Come on! Crack whore zombies. And I told him that. I said, you should never have let them change your movie title. Crack whore zombies, it would have sold millions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd watch a movie called Crack Whore Zombies.
Oh, yeah.
Over zombies.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, it just had a modest run, and then it disappeared into obscurity, you know, because there's so many zombie films out there. Again, it would have gone down in history if they'd have got the cojones to call it Crack Whore Zombies.
Yeah.
That would have been stellar. I think they should re-release it as Crack Whore Zombies.
They should. I mean,
it's a fun movie, actually. It's really well written and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Even though the budget's low budget, a lot of CGI gore.
Yeah. They need to find.
Again,
they need to find
it
another.
Can find its place.
Yeah, they need to find another distributor. In fact, they need to take it to Charlie Kaufman and say, "Look, we got a movie for you." It's already done. Slap the Troma name on it.
You just got to buy out these guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I went first last time.
All right.
What's your number one
Okay.
zombie film?
My number one zombie film, believe it or not, it's black and white. It's the original Night of the Living Dead. They won't stay dead. Yeah. George Romero and John Russo, the writer, created what we know now as zombie films. Before that, it was, zombies were Haitian voodoo, bring back from the dead. I mean, it wasn't these atomic zombies that we know today. And again, they never say what caused the zombie pandemic. They allude, that there was a satellite that came from outer space and it had radiation on it. So that's why I call them atomic age zombies. And again, it started the whole craze. So, yeah. Fantastic performances by all the unknown actors from Pittsburgh, as was the second one, which we'll talk about in a minute. I have it in color. I have the colorized version, of course.
Yeah.
I don't like the re-edited version that John Russo released with like 20 minutes of additional footage that didn't need to be there. It's good on its own. Now I'm supposed to be shadowing the side of my face, but it looks like Elvis sideburns. Anyway, I'm Elvis Zombie, baby. Yeah. So yeah, that is the one that started it all. And as far as terrifying, yeah, it's pretty damn scary even by today's standards.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because my number one is Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. Woo!
I mean, the OG.
And I like the remake. Don't get me wrong, I like the remake, but the original's much better. It's much scarier.
Yeah, well, Savini's remake is, I mean, it's basically a shot for shot. They just made it in color and threw in his effects work. Tom Savini is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the best one. Great, of course. You got that great line that everybody refers to. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah, very. Yeah. But you're right. This is the one that started the modern zombie movie. Like you said before, it was basically the original, the Haitian sort of voodoo, Living Dead kind of thing. But
and walked for the zombie,
yeah,
white zombie,
White Zombie, and all those. Yeah,
Charles.
Yeah. There's one with Charles Lawton. I think that's one that you mentioned. But anyway, yeah. But now we got the beginnings of the modern zombie in the and it's just this low budget little horror movie, and it just blew up. It's like nothing anybody had seen before, and there was just that level of gore that they hadn't seen. People chopping on body parts and what have you, and just a very bleak ending as well. Usually horror movies, you had the stalwart heroes saving the day at the end and destroying the monsters and all this, and you didn't get that with Romero. You didn't get that.
No,
with that movie.
He knew that in a situation like this, we couldn't win.
Yeah,
we would always think we could win. And what's funny is throughout his series of movies, these pictures, the situation gets bleaker and bleaker and bleaker.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that again. A lot of his pictures, I mean, all of his pictures are on my list somewhere.
Yeah.
Which they deserve to be, because he's the one that really created it and did it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it deserves the top place on anybody's list.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
get these out
please.
because they're
Yeah.
again they're interfering with my speech.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See, if you were cosplaying as the spleen from Mystery Men,
The spleen,
that would be good teeth for this.
big mistake. So, all right, my number 2 is Dawn of the Dead. It takes it one step further, showing how much bleaker the situation is just a few days later. People are trying to evacuate the cities and try to get to safety. And a group of people, including some people from a newscast, decide the news helicopter guy and his girlfriend decide they were going to team up with some people, and they get into a shopping mall.
Shopping mall.
And they
Yeah.
barricade up the shopping mall, and they figure, hey, we could just sit this out until the zombies go away, and we got lots of food here. We got everything we need right here, and it's a great idea. And then stuff goes awry, as is the case in most of these films.
As stuff tends to do in horror movies. Yeah.
And again, it turns out that people are the worst enemy. They're worse than the zombies. You know, people who are trying to fend for themselves, and they can turn out to be the worst enemies. They're worse than the zombies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, Romero was the first one to show that. I can't remember if John Russo wrote this film as well. Did he? Do you know?
I do not. We can look
Let
it
me
up
look
right
that
quick.
up. Or you look that up. That's fine. But yeah, I know that eventually they had a falling out, and Russo ended up going and doing his own zombie thing with Return of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And these two never called them zombies. They never called them zombies. They always called them the Living Dead or the Walking Dead or the Undead. So they hated it that people called them zombies.
Yeah. Oh, this is Dawn of the Dead. Is that right? That we were talking
Dawn
about
of the
Dawn of the Dead? Yeah.
Yes.
George
Not the remake.
Romero is listed as no. This is George Romero is listed as the writer.
Okay.
On IMDb.
All right. Well, there he goes.
Sole writer. So he
So him and Russo had already probably had the falling out.
Yeah.
Over where they should go with this thing. And Russo's zombies evidently turned out even more hard to kill than the original. In Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead, you could kill the zombies with a head shot or a head. You destroy the brain, you destroy the zombie.
Right.
So I like that we at least have a fighting chance if we know how to fight.
Yeah.
But the sheer fact of the numbers of the zombies, and how they multiply so quickly, is the horrifying factor of these films. Is just that there's just so many of them. How do we kill them all? They've tackled that issue on The Walking Dead, which George Romero didn't like. He didn't like The Walking Dead, even though Darabont in the first couple of seasons of the show created a pretty good homage to Romero's legacy.
Yeah.
But Dawn of the Dead, again, we get to see Savini cut loose with his abilities to create really interesting special effects makeup for gore and blood. In the first movie, it was black and white, and it was pretty simplistic. They used Bosco chocolate sauce for blood, splattered it on the wall. You saw shadows and stuff, and every now and again they would bite a leg or something, and but in this film, oh my God, they let him cut loose. I mean, he has zombies biting into people's shoulders and arms and legs and stuff, and just tearing out muscle. And we get a zombie decapitated with a helicopter. That's a fun scene. Just all kinds of really graphic gore. yeah, that actually, in some respects, makes it better than the first one.
Hmm.
I would even say to flip flop maybe Don maybe deserves. I, it's tough for me.
It's a tough call. Yeah,
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 I mean, I
yeah,
really enjoy Dawn of the Dead. I enjoy the story. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the colorful, bloody mess that they make. But Night of the Living Dead, there's just something about it that just it's like the Mona Lisa of horror
yeah,
films. You know,
yeah,
there's something about it that just makes you go, no, it deserves the top spot, even
yeah.
though it's black
Well,
and white. And
well, I think part of it. I think part of the reason is the simplicity of it. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's not just about the gore. It's not just it's about the story of these characters trying to survive this bizarre incident, and so it's really more of a character piece than just straight up horror.
and Dawn also has a great story and great characters. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
trying
no,
to
and
survive.
I'm not, yeah,
Yeah,
but not focusing on the gore, I think, kind of elevates that where you see the story first. Uh, but yeah, that not to take anything away from Dawn of the Dead. Um, so,
and Day
but I
of the
think
Dead again. The focus is
and
on the
Day of the Dead,
characters and the story and the survival. Yeah,
yeah,
the zombies are just there
yeah,
and they're causing problems. You
right.
know. Yeah.
They're just the MacGuffin of the story. So okay, all right.
I should
Well,
have thrown on a coat for this one.
yeah. Oh well.
um.
Uh,
Okay. So what is your number two?
my number two, I went on a slightly different direction.
Okay.
My number two is Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. All right. It's on my
Wonderful.
top five list. It's number five.
Okay, wonderful British comedy.
Mhm.
Simon Pegg as the titular Sean. Uh, so many nods to some of the other movies that we're talking about,
Mm,
zombie movies, but and again, great comedy horror, and again, not again, but they also don't skimp on the horror aspects of it.
mhm.
The comedy is front and center, but the horror is just as much there. The zombies are pretty gnarly. The
Yes.
story is just fun. Uh, and yeah, just very very enjoyable. This is one of my perennial Halloween watches. Is Shaun of the Dead. Love the characters.
They're re-releasing that to the movie theaters, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like an anniversary edition. Like
Yeah. If you can see it
it's
on the
like
big screen, that'd be great. It's a fun
yeah,
movie, and I love the scene where Bill Nighy plays his stepdad, who he hates,
hmm,
and he gets bitten, and they know he's going to turn into a zombie,
yeah,
and he's in
yeah,
the car with them, and he's giving this speech because he's bleeding out, he's dying out. He's like, Sean, I knew you would step up and be the man. I always thought you could be that kind of thing. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks, Dad, stepdad, yeah. Like, and they're trying to get out of the car,
yeah. But no,
and they get
yeah,
out
it's
just
funny
in
because
time because he changed
yeah,
into a zombie, and you see
changing.
his face pressed up against the glass of the inside of the car as they're talking the next scene.
Yeah.
It's a
Uh,
great scene.
yeah, it's actually a very touching scene. I mean, I
Yeah.
it's like getting weepy at that. It's like, oh, and then horror happens. But there's a lot of scenes like that,
Well, and the same with
with the
his mom in the
mom.
stand too.
Yes, yes, he's a little bit bitey, and all that happens there, and they have a standoff. I love the scene where they're trying to beat up on a zombie to to the to the sound of a Queen song, "Don't Stop Me Now," and they're like beating this guy with cue sticks and all this cue pool sticks. Um, yeah, just fun, just a fun movie and scary. It's all like I said, it doesn't skimp on the horror aspect of it as well. But so I thought that so that's my number two.
It's my number five. It deserves a place on the top five list. Yes, it does. Um, my number three, talking about going in a very different direction. My number 3 is a Korean film called Train to Busan.
Oh, okay.
A zombie film like no other. It's when the zombie apocalypse is just starting to happen in South Korea, and people don't realize it. And a bunch of people that are on a train, they start turning into zombies and biting other people, turning other people into zombies, and it's very, very horrific. And it's very psychological. Which, it would be a situation like that would be extremely psychological. If somebody I know who I love is bitten by a zombie, can I lock them out? Just and the military aspect of it too. If I see a little girl coming towards us, and I can't see if she's a zombie or not, do I shoot her? That kind of thing. So again, some of the aspects of it are just really intense and creepy, and that's what I love about this film. So it's a zombie film that explores stuff that has not been explored before, psychological wise, and it's a mind blower. I have the sequel to it, but I haven't watched it. But I definitely can recommend, if you can find it with subtitles, Train to Busan.
Yeah. Well, currently, and I know this is going to change by the time anybody, in the future, but right now there is a dubbed version on Tubi and the original subtitled version as well. So
okay,
if
cool.
anybody wants to watch that, like I said, by the time this goes out, that may change. But right at the time of filming that we're doing this, they're available online.
Which would be October 2024.
Which would be October 2024, yes. So
so
if you're watching this in the future,
you can find it online somewhere, or find it at a channel somewhere. It's
somewhere
out there.
it's out there. And if you can't rent it, it's an excellent watch. Definitely, it's on my top 5 as well.
Oh, cool.
So, but my number 3 is actually let me double check, make sure I got that right. Yeah, my number 3 is Dawn of the Dead as well. Now I chose the remake, the Zack Snyder remake of this,
wow. Okay.
which I know is probably blasphemy to some people, but honestly, I do think that he improved on the original, and that's just my opinion. But
there are a few things,
that said,
there are a few things in the film that I feel are truly horrific. I remember the little girl at the beginning of the film terrifying me. That they would turn a little girl into a zombie like that, and the zombies are very fast. Some of them in the film, which is really frightening.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he's talking to a guy who's writing stuff on a board. And they're communicating that way from building to building. They're in one building, he's in the next building over, and he gets bitten, and they know it, and they know he's going to turn, and sure enough, he comes up as a zombie, and he just puts blood on the board. I remember that being very, very traumatic. So yeah, that movie is scary as hell.
Now that I think about it, to me, it's almost like a double feature. Both movies are great. Both the Dawn of the Dead movies, the original with the original Romero film, and this is, I think, I will die on this hill. I think this is one of the best remakes that I've seen of an earlier horror movie. But yeah, I mean, they're both good. I just like the remake just a little bit more because of that.
Here's my problem with the film.
Okay.
They call it Dawn of the Dead. All right. If they had called it anything else, I think I would have been very cool with it. But it wasn't a remake to me. It wasn't. They completely changed it. The ending is completely different. The only thing that's similar is that they board themselves up, I think, in a shopping. I don't even think they're in a shopping mall, are they?
Yeah, they're in the shopping mall. Yeah.
They are in the shopping mall. Okay.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah, I mean the characters. I don't even know if the characters are the same. I think they're pretty different. Everything happens differently. He didn't remake the film. He made his own film.
Yeah.
And it is truly horrifically terrifying. It really is. It's one of the scariest zombie movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
so okay, so that was my number 3.
My number 4 is Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
They've done this on the Big Monster Briefing Room.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very tongue-in-cheek zombie film. Very bleak outcome. It's not a happy ending. And there's been like 2 or 3 sequels to it, and I haven't watched them. But this one, which basically, it's Russo basically to Romero. He even says, hey, those zombies from the original Night of the Living Dead, they're real, and we've got a couple of them downstairs. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's how it all starts. They crack open a case that's got one of the original zombies on it. Gas flies out. They turn into zombies. The zombie, they burn the corpse, and it rains. The cloud that it goes up in the sky causes a rain on a cemetery, which just happens to be next door, and that starts the zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really, really twisted dark humor in the movie. For one, about how to kill zombies and what causes a zombie, and some of the zombies can talk, which is kind of amusing.
Send more cops.
Yeah, send more police officers, send more paramedics.
Send more paramedics. Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's got a soft spot in my heart, and the music, the tracks are like punk rock.
Yeah.
So you got like the Butthole Surfers and stuff, and Surfing Dead, and it's a fun movie. It really is, even though it's very bleak. Don't plan something lighthearted afterwards, as I like to say.
Yeah.
That's my number 4.
Groovy. Well, actually, that was my number 4. But it got replaced by Train to Busan.
Oh, okay.
Which I hadn't seen until recently, but once I saw it, I almost switched, almost made it my number 1. But I thought, no,
it's
I'm
a
gonna keep the
really,
list.
really good movie.
That
very
ending,
well made, very well written,
very well made.
Yeah.
And weren't you just hoping that one business guy would get killed earlier? You know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
You
always have to have an a-hole like that in your zombie film. There's always got to be one a-hole that throws a monkey wrench into everybody's plans.
Yeah.
And they learned that. They knew that. They did their lore. They did their homework.
Yeah. and I love the fact that it starts off a little slow, but it takes but it's important because it takes the time to establish the main characters, which is this father and daughter. He's this very he's always busy and so finally he's in the middle of a divorce because again he's always busy. He has this, and this little girl wants to see her mother in Busan, and they're going to go by train, and so finally he says, okay, I'll take the time, and then everything just goes to hell for that, and you get these little hints as from news reports and what have you, that things are getting bad, but and when you start off a movie with a zombie deer, it's going to be good. But yeah, that ending, oh my God, I was like, are they going to do what I think they're going to do? Please, please don't. And they didn't. Little girl kind of saves herself and her the person that she's with. I don't want to give too much away.
All right.
But oh my God, it's such a good movie. And
Yes.
once, and again, it's one of those movies that once the story, the actions, once they get on that train, that's when the action starts, and it does not let up
Yeah.
until the end. I mean,
Boy, howdy.
yeah.
It
So
is
if
a
you-
roller coaster train ride.
Yeah, I mean, if you like your zombie movies, Fast and Furious, this is it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an excellent movie. So that's my number 4.
Shaun of the Dead was my number 5.
Okay.
So I had a feeling we are going to choose a lot of the same top 5s. Just had an idea.
Yeah. Well, my number 5.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Kind of got bumped down. Like I said, it was originally not Return of the Living Dead. Well, that's now my number 5 is Return of the Living Dead. And for all the reasons,
I think this is a first. We both picked the same top 5, just in a different order.
just in a different order. Yeah.
This is the first time we picked the same top 5, I think.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Wow.
I can't believe it. Says
Extraordinary.
Owen Wilson. Who
And of course,
zombie movies, man.
and of course, got to mention, Scream Queen Linnea Quigley, who spends most of the movie naked. So there's that.
In Return of the Living Dead.
In
Yes.
Return of the Living Dead, yeah. She's the one.
Her name in it is like Scum or something like that. I can't remember her name in it. We should look that up.
Yeah.
Because it's like filth or scum or something like that. That's so funny.
Is that her? I know. Or is that might be the boyfriend, the kind of punky boyfriend?
Give me a second here.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss. I always love that.
Clu Gallagher. I forgot he was the head of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should give them some credit.
Yeah. Tom Matthews, James Karen. Yeah. Clu Gallagher.
Trash. Her name
Trash.
was Trash.
Trash.
Linnea Quigley was trash in that.
Yeah.
Brian Peck was Scuzz.
Scuzz. Yeah.
Another character called Suicide.
80s, very punk rock. Yeah.
Suicide.
Punk rock aesthetic going on.
Riot Cops.
Send more paramedics.
Chuck, Tina, Freddie, Ernie. Yeah. Trash. And Scuzz. You gotta love that.
Yeah. I mean, the sequels, yeah, they kind of. I mean, the second one was okay.
Well, that's what I had read. I'd read that the sequels were not near as funny or good as the first one, so I just kind of said, I'll watch them later, and I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
I should have probably for this show, so we could talk about them. But
yeah. But, all right, honorable mentions.
Yes. You go ahead and give me your honorable mentions list first.
Okay. Well, one of my honorable mentions is
because I forgot mine. Renee's going to have to remind me what my what my honorable mentions are.
One of my honorable mentions is 28 Days Later, which great. I think it's a pretty good British film.
Yeah, it's a good film, but it's not really zombies. I don't think.
Yeah, they're the infected.
Yeah, they're infected by rage. Which
yeah,
I
they
get
got the rage virus. Yeah.
So again, a great performance by Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah.
Shoot, Murphy, Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. Yeah.
Right, the Scarecrow.
Right. Yeah.
I understand what Boyle was trying to do. He was trying to create his own kind of zombie thing. But
Yeah.
in actuality, I just don't see him as zombies. I just see him as crazy people.
Yeah.
There's another great movie called Biohazard, which
Mhm.
has a facility. Something leaks in a facility and starts turning people into crazies, and they start grabbing axes off the wall and killing each other. And that's a great film in that vein,
Yeah.
pun intended. But and that actually has of all people, G.W. Bailey from the Police Academy movies was in it. And there's a great scene where they're like, well, how did he get infected? He didn't come in contact with anybody. And you look at his eyes and he's got contact lenses, and somehow the contact lenses got infected, and that's how he got infected. And that was a great little twist. Uh,
Interesting.
but I still don't count it as a zombie film. I don't think World War Z with Brad Pitt is a zombie film per se. They're infected by some kind of rabies, I think.
Well,
But
yeah, it's funny because World War Z is actually on my dishonorable mention list.
dishonorable mention list.
Only because I read the book,
Yeah.
and when I saw the movie, I was like, what happened? Why did they just throw away? They kept the title, and that's about it.
And they threw away the book.
They threw away the book. Yeah.
Is the book a
Somebody.
zombie book?
Oh yeah.
Atomic
Yeah.
Zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're Atomic Zombies. Yeah. And somebody needs to make a mini series based on that. And in fact, it was written by Mel Brooks' son. Wrote World War Z, which I thought was funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he cut his deal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was funny that both 28 Days Later and World War Z, which I guess you kind of might expect it, but both of them had actors who would later or who had played Doctor Who on television. Yeah, in 28 Days Later, you have Christopher Eccleston. He's one of the soldiers at the camp or at the old mansion.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. It's Danny Boyle, right?
Danny Boyle, yeah.
Yeah, from Trainspotting.
Right. And in World War Z, you have Peter Capaldi. He's
Capaldi, yeah.
So I just thought that was funny. But anyway, yeah. No, actually, and I see your point. I do see your point, but I do feel like there are. If you open up the definition of what a zombie is, it kind of fits into that. But it's still, I think, regardless, it's
horrific
a good movie.
People who kill because they don't have a mind of their own.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, in good conscience, I couldn't really add those to the zombie list because I don't consider them. I mean, I consider them scary movies, to be sure. But they're just homicidal maniacs.
Okay, all right, hey, to each their own. Okay, so other things on my mention list is Zombieland.
That's on my list.
With you know who I'm talking about. Anyway.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, thank you.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson is the one you're thinking of. And the second actor, Jewish actor, right?
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Who just played a Sasquatch in Sasquatch Sunset.
Yeah, interesting. And one of the worst Lex Luthors in history.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not go there.
When John Cryer overshadows you. Anyway.
Yeah, just fun movie. Wonderful little cameo from Brian Murray. Or Bill Murray, rather, not Brian.
That Bill Murray scene is hysterical.
One of Emma Stone's early movies. Abigail Breslin. So great cast, great premise. Still in that comedy horror area, but again, they don't skimp on the horror and the humor. So I do like that mix. And speaking of which, another horror comedy is low budget movie called Zombies. This has a very weird premise in
Haven't
that
seen it.
you see the movie through the point of view of the zombies. They don't know they're zombies,
Oh, funny.
and it goes back and forth between their point of view and the quote unquote real world. And what's funny as the real world is all in black and white, while the zombie vision, their view of the world is all in color.
Oh, funny.
It's funny, it's quirky,
I'll have to
it's
check
just
it out.
silly fun.
You just reminded me of another zombie movie
Hmm.
that I need to mention. It's an honorable mention. It was a little independent film shot on Super 8. It was the most
Hmm.
expensive Super 8 movie ever made. It's called The Dead Next Door.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember the name of the guy that created it, but he created a lot of like video movies after that. He did that one on Super 8, but that was like one of his first films. But he started making movies direct on video, just to release them real ultra low budget.
Hmm.
But that one was actually pretty interesting.
Hmm.
The Dead Next Door.
Dead
At the end of the movie, the dead kind of get consciousness, and they start to turn into a zombie police force that just goes out and kills people, living people.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a different twist on the old story. Zombieland is on my list, of course. Um, Reanimator, I consider to be a zombie film, because he reanimates, dead creatures, and it always goes bad. So I definitely consider that a zombie film, and it's definitely worthy of mentioning.
Yeah.
Of course, it's Jeffrey Combs, and there's like 3 Reanimator films.
Yeah.
But that one is the creme de la creme. That
Oh,
one's
yeah.
the best one. Renee, help me out. Who else is on my dishonorable or my honorable mention list for zombies?
Okay, so we have Zombieland, Reanimator, Walking Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead.
Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead are the 2 last pictures that Romero did for his series.
Right.
They're not as good as the first 2, but they deserve to be mentioned. Day of the Dead's pretty good. Again, the characters are engaging. It's a very interesting story. You have Bub and the doctor, that crazy mad doctor. That's fun. You have the military guys that are just nuts. And so that's a fun movie. Land of the Dead, they actually got a couple of stars for that movie. They got John Leguizamo to play a character in it, and they got Dennis Hopper. And again, they like to throw in little quirks, like there's a zombie whose head has been chopped off, so his head, you can't see it. It's behind him until he flips his top back on, then he bites you. So you gotta
Pez
love
zombie.
stuff like that. He's a
Pez
headless zombie, but it's held my string on the back, and he just and he bites you. So that's pretty funny. And there's the zombies are becoming, they're starting to think, they're starting to remember in that film, which, I mean, again, it couldn't get any darker. And then there it is. Rory, do you have a zombie character?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, Sandy, yes.
And apparently it's one of those thinking ones.
And it's a thinking one.
But not very fast. No.
Okay. Thank you, Renee, for helping me with that. I had to give a nod to Walking Dead, because it really is, even though it's a TV show and not a movie, it really does lend to the lore. And again, man is the worst enemy. It's not the zombies.
Yeah.
But don't ever get invested in any one character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because they're going to kill them.
It's the Game of Thrones of zombie of the zombie apocalypse.
Jean
Uh,
Darabont, who did several Stephen King films, he did The Mist, he did The Green Mile, he did The Shawshank Redemption. He understands. Um, he understood what Stephen King's messages were in those books and stories,
mhm.
and was able to relate that. And I'm sure Stephen King is very pleased with all of the movies that he's created based on his works. He did a wonderful homage to the George Romero films with The Walking Dead in the first couple of seasons. Then they took it away from him, typical Hollywood fashion. They took it away from him, gave it to a showrunner who just you know wanted to sensationalize, and they've run it for, oh my god, like 11 seasons or something. And
Yeah,
again, it's based on a comic book series, and the comic
yeah,
book series is all about Rick Grimes, the
yeah.
sheriff, and his son, Carl, and it's all about their
Oh,
relationship and them surviving. Carl gets shot in the freaking head and he survives.
mhm.
Um, but not on the show.
Yeah.
They
Well,
they
Rick.
they they kill all your favorite characters, and nobody
Yeah,
ever get invested in any one character. They took Rick away. I heard that they brought him back, but I haven't watched it since the crazy shaved head lady that pretends she's a zombie, her and her
yeah,
gang. I stopped watching when they put like 12 characters that I really like. They put them all their heads on a spike, and that was it. I said, that's it. I'm over with it. I'm done with it. You almost lost me
yeah,
at Negan when he's bashing all of my favorite characters' heads in with his bat. Nope, I'm almost, and then I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done.
yeah, yeah. Well, so I read the comic book series,
Yeah,
not sort of kind of concurrently with the show, and I knew when they got to Negan that it was going to be gnarly, and I was wondering,
yeah,
are they going to actually uh, follow through with what happens in the comic? And sure enough, they did. I mean, they
they
added
did.
another character to
Yeah,
it to kind of throw us off, but no,
yeah.
they killed Greg. Uh, so, um, but then again, they went off on different on
Glenn.
tangents. Glenn, rather, not Greg. They killed Glenn. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
but that, yeah, you're right. They killed him in the comic book, so I was waiting for it.
yeah.
I was waiting for it
So
in exactly the same fashion, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
There are pictures of that actor, him with that makeup on, smiling for the camera. That'll break your heart. They're online. You can find them. It's just wow.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty. Uh. So yeah, yeah. The first couple of seasons when Darabont was showrunner and writing, excellent. I mean, but
And
once they handed
again,
it over to
there's a
somebody
couple of
else,
seasons after he left, they still followed the comic books, like you said, pretty closely.
yeah, yeah. And then somewhere along the
Um,
line, they said,
but like I said,
yeah,
when at Negan, they started to veer off.
yeah. And now we have all these spin-offs and
Yeah,
all this other stuff. I mean, and Daryl Dixon, I know, and I love the actor, I love the character. Uh, I don't know if he needed his own show, or needs his own show, and which is weird
well, and that
because
was another one that they went
it
off the
wasn't even,
comic. He
yeah,
wasn't even in the comic books
exactly, they created that character for the
for the
show.
TV show. And again, he just
So
took off because the fans really liked his character
yeah,
and what his character arc went through.
yeah. So
Yeah, Daryl was not even in the comic books.
yeah,
Yeah, he was completely created from the TV show.
yeah. Um, so anywho, I have one last one that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And again, kind of like 28 Days Later, I'm not really sure if this actually falls within the zombie category. I kind of think it does,
Okay.
because it does involve a reanimated corpse, and it's a French film called Living Dead Girl,
Okay.
which I think I'm pretty sure that the Rob Zombie song of the same name is based or inspired by this movie. And because it has a lot of the same tropes from other zombie movies, These guys at the beginning of the movie, they're hiding these barrels of toxic something or other
Yeah.
chemicals in this crypt, and of course one busts open, and this gas brings back this young girl to life, and she immediately starts killing people. She kills the guys that break into the crypt, and then she walks back to her house, and she's in the house. Uh, but she's not all gnarly and decrepit. I mean, she looks like she got the bloom of youth back to her.
Hmm.
And she has this childhood friend who kind of has this weird feeling that something's wrong. And so she goes to the house and she finds her and kind of brings her back to humanity, except the girl knows she's dead. She knows she's dead, even though her friend doesn't want to believe it. And she keeps telling her, no, I'm dead. I'm evil. You got to kill me because I keep killing all these other people and all this stuff. It's a very intense and also kind of a pretty psychological thriller as well.
Sounds like it.
And like I said, it's a French film, so there's a lot of nudity in it because they have no problem with that.
Well, there you go.
And it's very gory. Well, not so much gory as bloody. They go
Okay.
heavy on the blood.
Does she eat
and,
people?
and she eats people. Yes, she does eat
Okay.
people. There's a little
All
bit of vampirism in it because she does
So
drink
that's
the
a zombie
blood, but she does
If she eats people, she's a zombie.
she
Yeah.
consumes human flesh.
Now, there's an American film, and it's either my zombie ex-girlfriend or my zombie ex-boyfriend. I can't remember which one is which. I haven't seen it, but I remember seeing that at the like the video store many years ago and looking
Yeah.
at the box. There's also Troma Pictures has Redneck Zombies, which is a classic zombie film, which I'd completely forgotten about until just now when you were reminding me of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and along the same lines, there's a movie called Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Yeah, that has there's this girl who I don't know if it's her boyfriend or whatever, but he's a zombie, but he still remembers. And there's a film with Arnold Schwarzenegger where his daughter is a zombie, but he's like protecting her. What's the name of that movie? I should have looked it up.
Oh my God, I've never heard of this. Really? Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
My daughter is not a zombie. Leave me alone.
She's just
My
very,
daughter
very
alone. Sandy asked, do zombies talk? Yes, in some movies, zombies can think and they can talk. Return of the Living Dead is one, and we talked about that earlier. You just mentioned one, didn't you? Well, the French film.
Yeah, Maggie. It's called Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah. A devoted father stays by his daughter's side as she becomes infected by an outbreak of a disease that slowly turns her into a cannibalistic zombie. So there you go.
Man. Well, and they do that at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead. People are holding up their dead family members in the basements and stuff and feeding them.
Yeah.
Zombies on the nude beach in France.
Yeah. Isn't there another like a Troma film called Surf Zombies Must No, it's Surf Nazis Must Die. Never mind. But anyway.
I'm sure there is a zombie movie out there that's Nazis. What the hell is it? It's on a lot of people's top lists too.
Dead Snow. Dead Snow. Yes, I
Dead
forgot
Snow.
about that. Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but
it's
I've seen
good.
it on many people's lists. It's supposed to be good.
I should have put it on my list. I totally forgot about it. But no, which is not because it's forgettable. It's just there's so many damn zombie movies. You can't remember them all. But yeah, no, you've got to see.
But yeah, Nazi zombies.
Nazi zombies. Yeah. It's a good one.
That's what they should have called it.
Not
Dead Snow.
Yeah, well, maybe they
That's
didn't
why it
want
was
to use
forgotten.
Yeah.
Terrible title.
Terrible. It's a terrible title.
Should have been Crack Whore Zombies.
Crack Whore Zombies. Yeah. Well, there's zombie strippers, isn't there? Like zippers.
That was the other thing, was they felt that if they called it crack whore zombies, that they might get in trouble from zombie strippers came out just before it. So, and we forgot zombie strippers.
Exactly. Yeah. That just okay. Zombie
Yellow
strippers.
Snow. Sandy, you're on a roll.
Really? She is
Yeah,
on it.
zombie strippers with Robert England. Wow.
Yeah.
Really, really bad, but in a good way.
And the
just graphically.
Who's the famous porn star that's in it?
Oh yeah, is it Jenna Jameson?
And Jenna Jameson. Yeah.
Is that
she's
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the other star. There is a lot of nudity in that movie. A lot of zombie nudity. You talk about zombie nudity. That's the one.
There you go.
It's the wasabi kicking in. So last week, because of Milton, we didn't get to do General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room, but they're going to do that show this Thursday, which will be about Dracula's offspring. It's Son of Dracula, and Dracula's daughter will be first, then Son of Dracula. So we'll be doing that one hopefully this Thursday. And Roland Pruitt tomorrow will do the Mysterians.
Not the band.
Professor Walnut and Anastasia, and probably George Morgan all the way from Japan. He's going to join the show. So yeah.
Awesome.
So that should be a fun show. So that's tomorrow at 7. And every Tuesday at 7, and Thursday at 7 for General Howitzer. After General Howitzer at 10 o'clock, you got Sandy D's show, No Icing. I think she's got the bubble guy coming back to do his bubble tricks.
Bubble guy.
The bubble guy. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think of.
Well, next week on this show on Two Guys, we are continuing our October Halloween extravaganza with haunted house movies about haunted houses and hauntings.
Scary.
Things that go bump in the night. Yeah. And then after that, the week of Halloween, we'll be talking about our favorite Dracula movies. So
on YouTube, you can find it. 2004, it was released in 3 parts. I wrote and starred in a little film called Ghost House. You can go and watch those 3 parts and tell me if it belongs on the list.
All right.
You, the audience, you tell us if it belongs on the list for haunted house movies. Ghost House, not Monster House. They are the cartoon. That's something else. Ghost House.
Ghost House. It's on the YouTubes.
It's on YouTube. Well,
awesome.
We decided it was a short movie, so we decided to turn it into a series. And added some footage that was cut out of the movie, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's a pretty scary, pretty good for the budget that we had. Shooting it direct to video. I think we did a pretty good job with it.
Cool.
Very scary.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for Haunted Houses.
Yes, sweet dreams.
Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.